bragging rights. Beaver Falls, Coach Mooney, who is no relation to any of the Mooneys here in New Brighton, but he does live in New Brighton. Let's talk about the Mohawk Claw. So when you lead with Bobby Fadden, your quarterback, throwing for 157 yards and a touchdown, not to say that that's not a solid performance, but there really wasn't much to talk about or write about in this game. You guys just got down, couldn't get back, and they pulled off that 35 points that got them to win. So talk about it, Mohawk.
Yeah, I mean, we went down early. We made a couple mistakes early in the game. Trying to rebound right before half, get the score right before half. Second half, I feel like we played a lot better. We just still couldn't overcome the first half mistakes that we made, and we just ran out of time.
Let's talk about the tale of two seasons, and you still have a lot of action left, and we'll talk about the Beaver Falls game this week. And Beaver Falls and Coach Mooney, they are struggling mightily as well, trying to figure it out. You have one win in the MAC. It started off really good, and then things have kind of slipped away. What's going on now that wasn't happening early on?
I mean, we're playing a lot of good teams. I mean, the last three games we're playing playoff teams, top three teams in our conference right now. And again, we've made some mental mistakes, on the field. Preparation, I feel, has been pretty good, but I tell the kids all the time, if mistakes are being made, then it's on me. So, I'm ready to fix the mistakes and get us right on the back on the right track. Now,
it's almost like the start of a new season when you find yourself in a position like this, because every week you want to try to find that connection, that formula to build on. So even though your numbers may not be where you want as far as people on the team, all these players know it's the next one up. If you get an opportunity, seize the moment, and if you haven't been in the starting lineup, this may be your opportunity. And right now, all bets are off. It's all in. Who shows me the determination and the desire that they have the will to win and want to play, Lion pride, they're going to get the opportunity, right?
Absolutely. Last week we were a little bit banged up, missing a few key guys. This week we should be back to full strength going into Friday. So we're excited about this week coming up.
All right, let's talk about Beaver Falls. And this rivalry wasn't a part of my generation in the mid-'70s, but it has been a part of many generations since. This is maybe one of the best rivalries in the history of King football, WPIL, going back the last 20 years or so. The proximities of the schools, the stadiums, that one bridge that separates the two schools. This is one that you want to get a ticket for.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great battle. We talk all the time about it doesn't matter what kind of season either team's having, because this game is completely different than any other game that the players and coaches are part of all season long.
So what have you learned as a first-year head coach? And I know, believe me, it's nice when you win, and I know you want to do more of it, and no one's working harder to try to figure this thing out. But what have you learned as a first-year head coach?
Just how to adapt. When things are good, it's very easy to ride that out. Whenever things get hard, you just have to try to figure out what can you do to keep the players, bought in, engaged, and keep coming back. And our guys come back every single day. It's fantastic. They are really bought into the program, and they do a lot of special things.
Well, let me give you some advice. Not that I've ever coached, but I've been doing this before you were born. The bottom line is, you can't take the highs too high and the lows too low. You have to be consistent, and you have to maintain. Because the great thing about turning a program around that has a rich history like New Brighton, or even Beaver Falls for Coach Mooney, and I'm just so impressed with his determination, what he's trying to do there. It just takes one flip of the coin, one flip of the switch, momentum starts to shift, the pendulum comes back in your favor, and then it's that next step where you wake up the tradition. Because these schools, and in particular, because I know New Brighton, went to school here, too much history that this will not go on forever, because history won't let it, because of what the tradition of New Brighton is all about, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, the tradition's great, and that's what we talk about with the kids in the locker room too, is, some of them, their parents played here, the grandparents, aunts, uncles, some of them are new to the culture around here, so we really try to talk about the tradition of it and get them to understand, what New Brighton football is about.
I know you're loving this journey, but where is it on this football team that you're saying right now, in this practice today, the practice tomorrow, Thursday night under the lights before they battle for the Little Brown job, where does your team have to get better at. There are some things that you may not have to execute perfectly, but there are certain aspects of your playbook you've got to execute. Where are they?
Really honest, it's our mentality. You know, it's our mental mistakes that keep us from, you know, picking up the first down, you know, making a stop on the fourth down. So we really want to be mentally bought in. We had a good practice yesterday. We really want to be mentally bought in this week so that we can make the plays that we know that we should make.
So a big sign when you come in, Carver Construction, I think of Mitch Carver, I think of your father, I think of coaches before, Joe Rico, obviously, for many years. When you think about New Brighton football as a kid that grew up passionate about it, your family, and you guys have always been all in, what do you think about it? And what are some of the things that you lean in on or dig deep in that subconscious to try to make you understand? Speed bump, bump in the road, pothole, smooth pavement ahead, I just got to stay the course. What do you think about when you think about New Brighton football?
You know, anytime I have a low moment during the week, you know, my dad's the first one I call. I call, I get him, you know, he talks to me about, you know, how to deal with the lows, how to deal with the highs, just like you were talking about it, and it's a great conversation to talk to him every week about preparation and, you know, keeping the kids engaged on what the goal is to do.
Well, and here's the other thing. It can get very easy once you get to this point in the season. The weather is still kind of nice. They're thinking about the record. They're thinking about where they are. You got one conference win. These players have to realize this is on them. This is their year. For those seniors, this is what they will look back on the rest of their life. Every time a new season pops up, no matter where they live, they'll remember where they were in the fall of whatever year, but in particular 2024, and not how they started, not the middle, but how they finished. And they are playing for memories that will be every class reunion, every time they pick up a paper and somebody mentions their alma mater, or if they're on the other side of the country and somebody puts something up on social media and New Brighton football, that's the first thing they'll think about. So they need to understand it's not about life and death, but it is about how you handle yourself moving forward and remembering what it was like that year when you faced adversity, but you just didn't simply let it bring you down. You rose above it and moved on, and you take a memory with you of how you finished the season and not how you started the season.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had the conversation about, you know, the last 3 weeks, a couple things got away from us, but we have to figure out a way to get back on the right track. And, you know, I tell them all the time, I'm like, this is going to be the greatest time that you guys have because you're never going to get to play with your best friend from 5 years old ever again. So the memories they're making with each other is incredible.
So, Johnny, let me ask you, what about, now the things have changed. You used to have a junior high team and all that other stuff. Now it's the middle school. You've got freshmen up here now playing. Makes it really difficult. But how are you cultivating what is in the undergrades? The mentality. Obviously, we talked about that very successful time in which Mitch Carver and your father were involved in midget football. A lot of that stuff has changed as well. You don't have that Catholic school that we once had here in St. Joseph that was cultivating a lot of talent as well too. So how are you looking at the lower grades and hoping that that will matriculate to the varsity level and the JV level and will pay benefits moving forward? What are you doing there?
I mean, I think it definitely helps that I do have a son that's in the lower levels in youth football, so I get to see, you know, all the way from the twerps to the Mighty Mikes whenever on Saturdays when I go to their games. The junior high practices right after us, so they're up here constantly around the high school guys. And our upperclassmen are really starting to take care of our underclassmen to show them the right path on how to become winners, what it takes to be locked in for the week and everything like that.
The junior high that I remember program, you really basically, 9th grade you started, they played 5 games, that's where you stayed. Now because the numbers, a lot of freshmen get the opportunity to come up to the varsity level. In the long run, I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but that's what you have to deal with when it comes to sheer numbers. But when you played at Catholic school or you were in the midget program, there was a certain weight that you had to make to play, and then obviously junior high you did not. How important still is it, even though, as I mentioned, the landscape of the junior high has changed, how important is that still for you guys, those young men that are playing down there at that?
I mean, it's, you know, it's our feeder, right? It's one of the most important things because if they're getting numbers down there, and we know we're going to get numbers as they come up to high school. And our junior high team, you know, our staff down there does a great job with those guys to get them prepared to come up to the varsity level.
All right, so let me ask you, wanting to go a little longer, people are like, Make them go longer. We want more. We want to hear from the coach. So I tried to stretch it out a little bit. So talk to me about the game plan against Beaver Falls. The last thing you can do is look at a team that has no wins and going, all right, this is one we're going to get. They would love nothing more. This is their season. It may be your season. I know Coach Mooney, he would love nothing more as a first-year head coach to say, hey, this would be the place to start right here and now to build the Tiger football program moving forward. So you can't take your foot off the pedal for one single second.
No, absolutely not. We know going into this game, like I said, it's going to be a different game than any other game this season. It doesn't matter, you know, if you have 1 win, 8 wins, whatever it is. I've been on both sides of it. You know, as a coach, I've been on a team that we were a 2-win team going into that game, and we did win. I've been on the side of it where we were a 5-win team and we lost. So I mean, this game means nothing when you look at records. It all comes down to who's going to be the tougher team on Friday night.
Coach, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Listen, hopefully, and we love Beaver Falls, we do, but hey, I'm from New Brighton. Hopefully places like the Oak Hill Vets Corner Grill, Wooly Bullies, Jimmy K's will all be celebrating a big win for this football team. Now look, we all wish it would be a better record at this point, but take it from me, football family, grew up around great people like Mark Macuga, Mitch Carver, and so many others, Joey Grieco. They will get this thing turned around. The athletes have to keep believing. But remember, to all of you student athletes and to you students and band members and cheerleaders and the administrators and that wonderful, great system of teachers in the New Brighton School District, know this, it will turn around. We need you now more than ever. So go Lions, all the NB alumni out there, keep promoting and keep believing in this football team, because I truly believe the Lions will roar again, and we are all going to be so happy about it that now more than ever we have to huddle up and stick together. More tonight on KDKA right after local news at 6. It's your Pratte Pack, and for everything in the world of sports, the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show each and every week after local news at 11 on KDKA. Good afternoon from Oak Hill Field. Back on the radio. We'll see you in a couple of hours. Good afternoon. It's your Pratte Pack.